every year, and they're doing a phenomenal job in keeping our roadways safe. But the weather isn't just a simple equation, and a lot of times we also happen to deal with a lot of crazy things that happen in our weather. We deal with mixed events, we deal with extremely cold weather, we deal with situations where there's just inches of snow and it's hard to keep up with it. But salt comes in handy, because when you're talking about your traditional salt under normal circumstances where we do see snowfall amounts that could be an inch or so and temperatures aren't terribly cold out, rock salt does a great job. But again, it's point of contact. If you're throwing it all over the place, chances you're getting in a lot of places where it honestly shouldn't be. Now, you can see just how much salt can melt, how much ice in just under circumstances of just various temperatures. And when we're talking about, how temperatures change given, a system coming through, that could have huge implications on just how effective that road salt can really be, and specifically some of the rock salt that you could be looking at that could be used to help, melt a lot of that ice and snow that is then, form this very strong bond to the roadways. But, something to keep an eye out for. Again, not only the fact that they're putting rock salt, but also ODOT will use something called a salt brine, which is essentially rock salt mixed with water, and that is a solution that helps them out quite a bit. And our weather team spoke with the Ohio Department of Transportation about some of these different strategies and just how beneficial some of these impacts that they can use to help provide some relief in our roadways from the winter weather.
The salt brine that we put down, the liquid deicer, is more concentrated right in that driving surface, which is exactly where we want it to be. And when the water evaporates, it leaves a salt residue there that's very effective in helping to reduce the bond of snow and ice to the roadway, or break the bond of snow and ice to the roadway.
And that's extremely helpful, especially whenever we're talking about these snowfall events. But anytime there's some rain in the forecast, again, they have to tend to, change their strategy or adjust. So then if they're putting the salt brine on, if we're looking at plain rain that's coming through before an event, that's where it could be a little bit tricky. But of course, they have many different methods. And of course, they'll also use all their all-salt or alternatives if there happens to be, some extremely cold conditions where they can kind of mix in with that rock salt to help it make it more effective whenever we're talking about some extremely cold conditions, which we're not quite there just yet, but a good reminder given that we are kind of seeing our first taste of winter weather as we head into this week. And right now, sitting at 34 degrees, a lot of us feeling like we're into the mid-20s out there when you factor in those winds. The good news is, looking on radar, it looks like we're seeing some snow coming through, but a closer look, actually looking at our radar that's located in Wilmington, Ohio, from the National Weather Service, really not seeing anything reaching the surface for us due to the fact that we do actually have a lot of dry air in place that's helping to eat up a lot of this moisture. But eventually we're going to have enough moisture coming into town where we will see potentially some of the snow actually reach the ground, perhaps before changing over to that of primarily rain going into the afternoon. So we are going to continue to see temperatures stay on the cold side though, and again those winds out of the east right now about 5 to 10 miles an hour, making it feel like it's into the 20s. So a very cold start to the day for us, comparable to yesterday as far as how it feels like 27 in Lancaster, 26 in Washington Courthouse, 29 in Marysville, and 30 in Kenton. We'll continue to see relatively cloudy skies through this morning, and then after 7 o'clock going into the mid-morning hours, that's where we could see the chance for a brief rain-snow mix. Otherwise, looking relatively cloudy with rain really not moving in until later into the afternoon, where most of the heavy rain will be in southeastern Ohio, but we will continue to see chances for rain increase here in central Ohio through this evening. So looking like it could be a fairly wet evening commute for us. We'll continue to see that rain linger into the early part of the night before gradually drying out heading into the overnight hours, where those temperatures will then return back into the mid-30s. And then tomorrow, much like today, cloudy, but probably feeling colder considering how we're going to look at those winds now out of the west. Slightly colder as well, so more wind chills into the 20s for us, and we'll continue to see those cloudy skies stick around and fairly unsettled weather. Wouldn't be surprised to be able to see perhaps a few flurries mix in from time to time going into the early part of the day on Wednesday, and then maybe some lake effect reaching south enough here in central Ohio where we could see some brief snow showers going into the early part of tomorrow night. But other than that, we'll continue to see some flurries on Thursday and then much colder weather coming our way. Typically, our high this time of the year is 53 degrees. We're not going to be talking about 50s anytime soon for us. So we'll continue to see cloudy skies, chilly conditions for the rest of the week. We'll keep those low chances for some snow flurries or perhaps some brief snow showers going into your Wednesday night. And then looking at some much colder weather coming our way as we head into the weekend. If you can believe that, morning temperatures near 20 degrees for us going into your Saturday, Sunday morning with highs barely making it to the 30-degree mark.